You ever finally sit down, like really sit down, and that's the exact moment someone yells your name from the other room?
Oh, yeah, every time. It's like the universe knows. The second I get comfortable, someone needs a snack, the dog's barking, or my phone's ringing.
Exactly. And that's what this podcast is all about. Those little moments between chaos and calm, where you're just trying to breathe, but life keeps happening.
Welcome to I Just Sat Down, the podcast for moms, women, and multitaskers who do it all and somehow still manage to laugh about it.
I'm Desi, mom, entrepreneur, serial enthusiast, and fully committed to figuring it out as I go.
And I'm Crystal, multi-passionate entrepreneur, mom of chaos, coffee enthusiast, and believer that a good laugh can fix almost anything.
Every week, we're diving into the messy middle of life. Parenting, work, relationships, identity, all the real, unfiltered stuff that no one warned us about.
We'll share stories, a few hard truths, and definitely some laughs, because if we can't laugh through it, we might just cry instead.
So whether you're listening in the car, hiding in the bathroom, or actually lucky enough to sit down,
grab your coffee and let's get into it. Welcome to I Just Sat Down.
Hi, friends, and welcome to another episode of I Just Sat Down. Today, we're talking about something almost every parent has experienced: why your children often act out more with people they love the most. You might hear that your child is calm, helpful, and well behaved at school or with other adults, but at home, it feels like all the big emotions come out all at once. In this episode, we're unpacking why that happens, what it actually means about your relationship with your child, and how to respond in ways that build trust rather than power struggles. This isn't about permissive parenting or letting things slide. It's about understanding what's really going on beneath the behavior.
yeah.
I'm excited for today's episode because I'm definitely in that right now. I feel like this age 100% is just like so hard to regulate those emotions, and their brains are still just, I mean, your brain is developing until you're whatever, but I think right now it's just like once the crying or the meltdown starts,
Yeah.
it's very hard to like backpedal through. And yeah, I'm in it right now. I feel this so much in my soul.
The first thing that comes to mind when we started thinking about having this conversation, like the why they act out with you, is because they're safe with us, right? The fact that they can act out with us is like kind of a reward because we know that they feel safe enough to do that with us without punishment or, when we were not necessarily us, but even like our parents, like the abuse of acting out. A lot of people even now have that mentality of like when a child is acting out, like, oh, people don't spank their children enough, or they don't get disciplined at home. That's just not the case in
Right.
every situation. And then, of course, then you also have different situations in different homes where children have disabilities where they are not intentionally acting out just to piss you off, like they're not feeling understood, they're not feeling heard. And just like us as parents, sometimes we react in a way like we're getting upset because you're not listening to me. Why are you not doing what I want you to do? And then it gets more intense of like, oh my God, would you just listen? Right? We get stressed
Yeah.
out too. So it's important to understand that like these little people have less tools than we have. So when they're acting out with us, it's because they just don't know yet, right? We are the ones that have to teach them those things. And
Which is hard when you yourself, like, I know I definitely struggle like with self-regulation, I don't know, there's certain things like crying for no reason, like drives me up the wall. I can't. I don't know what it is. I literally am like, I I need to tap out. I'll tell Dave, I'm like, you're going to have to go in there and kind of figure this out because I can't. I physically can't. I'm, so I feel like, I mean, I'm trying to get better at that and trying to understand all of the things that, you literally just said. Like, they don't understand how to regulate their emotions. He might not even know why he's crying at that moment, but,
Mhm.
He's been told 3 tasks at one time and doesn't know which one to start at. And that causes the meltdown, right?
Yeah. And I
I
just
feel
had this
like,
conversation with Corey too, because Corey's the exact same way. Like I'm pretty sure it was this morning. He literally was like, I just don't, I just can't deal when they're crying over nothing.
mhm,
And then me
it's
stepping in
so
going,
frustrating.
it's always something, there's a reason. And just because you don't understand the reason doesn't mean that there's not a reason. Right. So
Okay.
it feels, but then he goes, I mean, yeah, getting like, your toe ran over by a car, that's a reason to cry. Or, you physically getting hurt, that's a reason to cry. But he's like, when they're, nitpicking with each other and then all of a sudden somebody starts crying, he goes, there's literally no reason to cry.
Right.
And I
Yeah.
understand, and you understand, same thing. When we get into arguments with people that we care about, it gets the frustration and the emotions brewing, and there's always a deeper meaning, but it's having to see past that surface level of our own triggers when
Yeah.
we hear the sound of the whine or the cry going, "Ugh," right? Because it tenses our
Yeah.
bodies up. And then
For sure.
recognizing our body doing the thing that's tensing up, right?
Yeah. And like, I totally get crying out of frustration. That is me 100%.
Yeah.
If I'm frustrated, I will shut down. I will cry.
Mhm.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Um,
release. And with little ones, it's like their behavior is the communication because sometimes they don't know how to communicate those emotions and feelings, or literally like littles that can't speak words. That's
yeah.
how, as babies, they communicate. That's how they communicate. They cry when they're hungry. They cry when they're poopy. They cry. Like, and we're just like, all I see is crying. I just don't know which cry this is. Like, right? It's,
Right. I think I'm seeing this a lot right now. We actually had a situation, not a situation, but something that came to light, and I was like, wow, I understand now, like, how that safe place really does allow for that meltdown. So we put the little guy in swimming lessons, and at the end of last year he was in swimming lessons where I still had to go in the water with him. And it was on a day where he had preschool, so this was at like 4:45. So we've already had a full day at preschool because the weekends just don't really work for us to take him. So I thought, okay, well, I'll do a weekday night and we'll see how it goes. And honestly, it was the worst. I made Dave take him a couple of times because he just didn't want to do the things with me at all. It was more meltdowns I found than it was learning swimming. It was just like everything that the teacher wanted him to do, he would say no, or like there were certain things that he would do, but it was mainly me trying to convince him to do the things and him just having like mini meltdowns over silly things like, I want the blue thing that these other big kids are using right now, and it's like, okay, well, you can't do that. Like, we're here to do this. Anyways, it was just a whole string of those big emotions coming out. So it was stressful for me, stressful for him. And obviously it's different when you're like in a public space. There's a tween literally doing this class, right? She doesn't get it. She clearly doesn't have kids, which I'm sure she sees a lot, but like you don't get it.
Mhm.
And I'm like, not embarrassed because I know he's just had a long day and whatever, but like I'm getting frustrated because he's not listening. And it is kind of embarrassing when you're like, oh, toddlers, like you can just laugh it off and whatever. But anyways, so fast forward to the new year. I did the same thing. I put him in swimming again because, kid needs to learn how to swim.
Gotcha.
But this time I don't have to go in with him. It's like
Okay.
a whole new world, you guys. Like, this is like, the biggest step, and it feels so good. Anyways, Dave and I both went and like were there to like watch him and stuff. And he was so good. Like every time he would do something for the teacher, he'd like look over and like give us a wave or like give us like a thumbs up. And it was just the sweetest thing to see and the cutest thing. And I was like, I feel like he's obviously when we get home, those emotions do come out because, we're safe now. He's been, I don't want to say it's like putting on a show, but it's just like holding everything in all day.
Mhm.
Right. So I feel like the big emotions do come out, but it was so nice to see that I just felt like I've definitely noticed that we see those big emotions when it's just us. But when he's with other people, it's just like this glorious thing. And I love to watch him because I'm like, oh, he really is like the sweetest kid
Yeah.
ever.
Yeah.
But just when we get into the car, it's a full on meltdown. Like, I need a snack right now.
Yeah.
Anyways,
It's cool to see from the outside looking in to see
it is
how
for
people
sure.
see your kids. Yeah.
And it's true because when I pick him up from school and they're all like, "Oh my god, he's just so sweet. He's so good. He had such a great day." And then we get into the car and he's like, "Oh, what are we having for dinner?" That's his favorite question
Mm,
after preschool.
me too.
And I'll say something and then he's like, "I don't want that." And it's like a big meltdown. And it's like, "Dude, it's all good, man. Like,
You're like, don't even ask, just shove it in.
then don't ask if you don't want to know or. But
Yeah.
anyways, I felt like that was just like a nice, I don't know, it was cool to, like you said, kind of see it from the outside and be like, okay,
Yeah.
it really is his safe place when he comes home. And it's almost like you have to have those meltdowns. It's just
Yeah.
like,
We have them too.
all day. If a kid's
Yeah.
mean to me, I'm still just like, whatever, let it roll off. And then, I get home and I'm not allowed to play with my cars because it's time for dinner. And it's like,
Yeah.
this about to end.
Yeah, and I think like I've always noticed it around that age group too, right? Like it's all dependent on the age and stuff. And I feel like we go to gymnastics and you see the kinder gym and half the time there's either, there's one kid that's crying the whole time, doesn't want to do it. There's another kid that's like running wild all over the place being said, no, 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 this way over here. Like it's the
Yeah,
age group in which they're learning that they have a little bit of boundary pushing to do here and trying to
yeah,
feel out what they're allowed to do and also very attached. There's so many, mental things going on there that they're still very attached to their parents. Parents are in the room, so they have that safety that they're there. But also, why do I have to listen to this person? I don't know who this person is telling me these things to do, right?
right.
My middle child, I took out of gymnastics when she was 3 or 4 years old because every 15 minutes she was like, hey, can we go to the bathroom? And we would sit in the bathroom for 15-20 minutes. And I was like, let's get through this session because we've already paid, especially when you put financial into it. You paid for this session. You're like, we're doing it. I don't care if you don't like it. We got to get through this. And it's hard, right? It's that balance of fine, you can have a 15-minute bathroom break, but when you get back out there, you're going to do it. And then we're going to take a break until this is something that you enjoy. With swimming, it's not necessarily the same because yes, it is a life skill that they need to learn
Yes.
how to do.
I did do the same thing with the little guy with ball hockey. We put him
Yeah.
into U6 and he was the smallest out of all the kids. And every time we get into the car, he would say, they never pass me the ball or they're too fast. I'm not fast enough, all this stuff. So I'm like, you know what? We're going to skip a session and then we'll try again and see because yeah, it just ended up being, I don't want to go. I don't want to do it. Or we'd get him all dressed up and all his hockey glory. And then he'd be like, no, I'm good. I don't want to do this. I just want to sit on the bench or whatever. So I get that. When financial gets put into it too, it's like, man, just like I'm paying for you to sit on the bench and sob. And it's like, dude, just get out there, do the damn thing. It's a half hour or an hour or whatever it is.
And
But
they don't care because they don't get it. They don't understand.
they don't understand. Exactly. They're like, I don't care of this.
Yeah.
You paid for this in gummy bears. It's fine. Just let's
Yeah.
go. They
And
have
also-
no idea, right?
And maybe that's something that we should learn as we get older too. Just because there's something behind it doesn't mean that we need to like put ourselves through these situations where we're uncomfortable or unhappy.
Right.
Yeah.
Totally. And I wasn't like, I mean, the financial part of it is like, that's going to happen, right? You got to put them in things for them to learn if they're going to like it and all these things, right? But
yeah,
I also I just saw that he was getting easily frustrated with the fact that he was not running as fast, not doing as fast. So I'm like, you know what? We'll wait it out. We'll wait a session and then we'll try again and see how it goes. And hopefully that lessens the feelings. And I think too, because like Dave and I would both go. So it was like, I can come off and cry with you. And like, that's just, again, that's my safe place, right? I don't want to get back on because I don't want to listen to what the guy's saying and all that stuff, right? So
and Dear sports and athleisures for toddlers, we love an open house. We love a try a free class, because
Yeah.
we want to spend $300 to $600 for a session that our kid absolutely hates.
Some of them do that. I did a free class with the little kickers, like the soccer thing. You have to know somebody who's paid for it and is doing it. They always have like a bring a friend day. And we went, and little guy wanted to play in the big soccer net the whole time. And I was like, well, he's not listening.
Yeah.
I'm not paying because it's an expensive one. And plus, like, I mean, I'm not into soccer. I don't know any of the rules. So like if he begs to play soccer, we'll cross that bridge when we get to it. But I don't know I'd rather you play baseball. It's cheap.
It's
I'm
fun.
putting that into the universe.
Yeah. And then I wanted to like kind of touch on, because we're talking about like the younger kids or whatever, right? So I just made notes here about like the different age groups and what it looks like based on what's really happening. So with toddlers, it can look like a meltdown over their favorite cup color or their shoes. It could be screaming when you tell them, no, buddy, we can't do that right now. Uh, Throwing themselves on the floor, and that sudden independence of I can do it, and
Uh,
then crying and then realizing I need your help. So what's
yeah,
really happening is that limited language, not being able to express with words, those big feelings, again, with no tools on how to express themselves or understand what's going on in their body,
yeah,
testing that cause and effect of if I do this, what's going to happen. And then developing autonomy with no impulse control because they just don't know yet, right? And a helpful reframe for that is they're not being dramatic. They're learning how the world works, right? And that's like basically they're stating that that's like toddlers ages 1 to 3. Now, as we get into that preschool age, it could look more like the power struggles over that routine because now they know a little bit more. They know that there's a routine that has to be done. Hey, we have to get up, we have to eat, we have to get to school, we have to, you know, come home and eat dinner, right? Also, it could look like they're ignoring those instructions that they understand, like, hey, I need you to put your shoes on. I need you to put your shoes on. We got to leave right now. Get your shoes on. Also, the I can't do it, followed by frustration, right? Of them thinking that they cannot do it, and now they're frustrated because just like us, right? Just like anything we want to do, why can't I do
absolutely.
this? What do you mean?
Yeah.
And then also acting out after daycare or school because oh gosh, we're so overtired. It's been a whole socialized day of having to listen to other people and be around other children that are biting me and pulling at me and poking at me and touching my strawberries and
And my toys that I'm playing with and stealing them and
yeah.
whatever, right? Yeah.
Yeah. And then what's really happening there is, yeah, the exhaustion from that self control all day, the strong desire for the independence, the difficulty transitioning between activities. Again, that's something that as adults, having to go from work to relaxing at home or doing the home life thing is hard. And
Yeah.
then that emotional backlog from their day. A helpful reframe for that would be this is often end of day, emotional release, not defiance. So we noticed with my oldest is like over COVID because we had to do homeschooling. He didn't want to focus on schoolwork. So it was like, okay, we need like 15 minutes of running around outside to move that energy around and refocus into something better. So sometimes we have to give in a little bit to the things that we don't necessarily want to do or have the energy to do for ourselves if it's going to help them to recenter themselves or refocus themselves, kind of like grounding, I guess, right? Like regrounding ourselves to get into that next step. And then for basically early elementary, it's basically when they're starting their daily routine of going to school every day and all of the kids around them and that emotion if they're not if they weren't in preschool or daycare. So it could look like big reactions to small disappointments. Talking back that sassy little attitude that we get.
Mm,
I currently have an 8-year-old. Uh, complaints like, it's not fair, right? You're going to hear that a lot. And then the emotional outbursts after school, which, yeah, they're exhausted. So what's really happening is the increased social pressures. They are now being influenced around them by little school friends that are now little influencers around them, right? The comparison with peers. I don't think we're really into like what they wear and stuff like that yet, but also in grade 2 I had a little girl come up to my youngest and was like, that doesn't look like a real Stanley. Is that a real Stanley? And we were like, are we? Are we for real? Anyways,
Is this real life?
yeah. What's really happening is that we are learning rules, but not the flexibility around those rules just yet, because we're still in the discipline time frame of like we're trying to get these kids to like do the things. And once you show that you're good at doing the things, then there's a little bit of flexibility, but it's so hard because we get in that disciplinary mode as a parent, right?
Yeah.
And then also them struggling to articulate complex feelings. So they have that basic conversation piece down where they can say like, I'm tired, I don't feel good. Usually it's my tummy hurts. Everything comes back to, oh, my tummy hurts, my tummy hurts. When they're anxious, they don't understand why they're anxious. They just say my tummy hurts, right?
Yeah. I mean, I always, whenever my mom was like, "Okay, you need to clean out the dishwasher," I would like magically trip and hurt my knee, and I wouldn't be able to. Oh, I can't clean out the dishwasher. Like my mom said, I was like the most dramatic ever. I always tried to like figure out a way to get out of anything like that.
Yeah.
I mean,
I think that's more
she called
common.
bullshit and was like, "Do the damn dishwasher. I don't have
Yeah.
time for this."
Yeah. That's where your knee.
But
You don't need your
it's
knee.
very, very dramatic. And like, you don't need your knee to clean out the dishwasher. So like, let's go.
And all of my kids do that. So
Yeah.
like
Okay.
I think it's a
just
normal thing.
universal. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Always. Especially like, oh, I have gym at school today. My ankle is really bad from gymnastics on the weekend. And I was like, it's been 3 days. What do you mean now it's starting to hurt? Sometimes
I'm like, just wait till you're 38 and you wake up in the morning and you throw your neck out. Okay.
yeah, that's
So
gymnastics when I was 12.
shush.
That makes
Jesus.
so yes. So they're learning emotional reasoning, not trying to challenge authority. That's for like the 6 to 8 year olds. Now, as we get into the preteens,
Now we get
fun.
the challenging authority.
Yeah. So
Absolutely.
this is where the struggle starts to kick in, right? So what it
Yes.
looks like is attitude, eye rolling, arguing logic, resistance to help, and withdrawing or shutting down. And I feel like this is where we start to see ourselves in our kids a little bit more too, because we're like, what do you mean? What are you doing? Let's go. What's really happening, though, is their desire to be seen as capable.
Yes.
But when I say, hey, can you do this? And 12 seconds later, you're still sitting there. And I'm like, did you hear me? Can you do it? Come on, let's go. Then I can hear myself getting annoying.
Mhm.
But still, like, get up and do it. Get.
Yeah.
Their growing awareness of fairness and injustice. It's early identity formation of trying to figure out who they really are, what they really want, and how do they really want to approach this situation.
Right.
The emotional sensitivity paired with pride. So a helpful reframe with that age group would be like they want autonomy and reassurance at the same time. So like although we want to give them a hard time about things, I think it's a lot of like, hey, that was great that you did that without being asked to do that. Same things that we enjoy as adults too, right? Like
Yeah.
I'm big on I think affirmations of being just like, hey, that was great. Thank you so much. Like just being appreciated too, right?
Right.
It's sometimes it's hard for us as parents to like, I guess, differentiate the fact that like they're growing into these human beings and want to be treated like adults, but they still look like our little children, and we're
Mhm.
trying to figure out the difference there.
I remember too, like, I didn't really have this that much because there's so much difference between, like, age gap between my brother and my sister. But I found, like, which you might see this a little bit, was like, oh, well, so and so got to do this when he was this age. Why can't I do that?
Yeah.
And I think like that's where that pushback really starts to come in, especially when you have siblings. It's like I remember, in high school it was like my cousins were 2 years apart, and like Kayla would say, well, I want to get my nose pierced or whatever. Like Casey got hers when she was this age, and it was just very much like, no, that's not how it works. Like you're different people. Sometimes
Yeah.
we have different rules for different kids. And yeah, I just think that like a lot of that pushback just comes. I think you'd see a lot more of that pushback with the second child
Mhm.
because they've already watched that
Yeah.
first child go through things, maybe.
It goes
Like you
both
may see
ways.
it a little bit earlier, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, it goes both ways on different sides of that because my oldest will always be like, "Oh, well, the girls don't have to do this, this, and this, and I do."
Mm,
Or,
yeah.
"Oh, how come the girls don't ever do the dishes?" And like, there's a lot of things that he'll say that I'm like, they literally do, but you probably don't see them doing it because I don't have to ask them more than once. Or like, right? There's like,
Yeah.
this is
No,
two
exactly. Yep.
children. And then yes, the youngest is, 4 years apart from the middle, 6 years apart from the older one. So whenever they're at that, of course, she's 8. So she's like, well, can I get a cell phone when I'm 10? Can I get a cell phone at this age? Well, they got this, they got that. A lot of it was the front seat thing, like sitting in the front seat. I have to like go back to my photo.
It's easy for you because you can be like, nope, it's the law,
The law.
not my choice.
Yeah. Yeah. Right.
Like to be able to use that. Like, nope, it's not my choice. You gotta call the police and ask them.
And you can make up laws at this point because they really don't really know.
Mhm.
I just want to get to the last one
Sorry.
here for getting into the teenage years is 12 to 17.
That's crazy.
So yeah, so what it looks like, I know because at this point you're like, you're an adult, get it together.
Yep.
So what it looks like is snapping at parents, but being polite with everyone else. Like, I mean,
Mhm.
sure, great, awesome. Withdrawing into their room, which I pull them out of the room most of the time because especially if it's in like an upset, if one of my kids gets upset and goes to their room, I'm like, no, get back down here, get in here now, because we're
Yeah.
not going to a room to hide out and get upset and deep depressions and all that stuff, right? And I think it's
Yeah.
the
You can have
opposite.
like 15 minutes of like
Yeah,
alone time, no problem. That's great. But then you're gonna rejoin the family.
yeah. I need the resolve before they can go and do the by themselves thing.
Hmm.
It could look like overreacting to boundaries or dismissing parental input completely. So, what's really happening is that emotional overload, identity exploration, fear of vulnerability with peers, and then parents remain the safest place to unload emotions. And sorry,
Good. So that never changes. Cool.
never changes, even when we're 40. They trust you enough to be unfiltered, even when it doesn't feel good. And oh, like me and my oldest had a drug conversation yesterday, and I had to confess to teenage things that I had gone through. And it's like you never know at what age is like comfortable to have these conversations. But when they're asking about a kid that OD'd in high school, then they're curious about what that drug is and what it can do, and is that something that you ever did? And it's like, cool.
I know it's
Love.
kind of hard. It's like you don't know when to tell the truth.
No, you don't
And
have to overshare. Yeah,
yeah,
or if you're parentifying your children by doing these things and causing more pain and trauma. So it's
yeah,
it's bare minimum conversations, not into details, just enough to be like, you know, when I was in high school, I was sad. I was not a kid that was taking care of the way that you are. Like, and then after the conversation, he's like, it's sad to think that that's how you felt at this age. And I was like, yes. And like grandma and grandpa, and they're all great and they're amazing grandparents, and it's nothing to do with who they are as people. It's just in that time of life, that's just what I went through.
yeah,
Nothing to
yeah.
do with you, but now you get to be loved extra hard because I'm terrified of all the shit out there.
Extra, extra hard. Oh my
Yeah.
goodness.
Yeah. And the thing is like, yes, it's true. As they get older, it doesn't change. We are still that safe place. We are still that emotional being that has to help them get through and regulate and whatever else. So it helps that there's a balance. Like you said, sometimes you have to call in Dave to be like, I need like high five, you're in tag team
Yeah.
because I can't do it right now. And especially if, again, I will always come back to women's phase, like our luteal phase, our follicular phase. Like we're in different phases of life. So there's times where like I can handle a situation like the Buddha, but I can't do it all the time. And there's
Right.
times where I don't even realize that I'm lashing out and reacting. And I think Corey, being the oldest of my children, he's the one that I lash out on the most
Mhm.
because I'm like, you should know better. You should be able
Yeah.
to like have this conversation without getting up in arms and whatever else. And then
Right.
I will walk away and be like, dude, I'm usually pretty fucking calm. And this guy knows
This guy.
where to push my buttons, but it's all in safety and in love and knowing that I can step away for 30 seconds, come back and hug it out and everything is good, right? Like it's important. and that was what we had a conversation about in one of our previous episodes about relationships and having a solid partner that you feel that comfortability with, because
Yeah,
I would hate to be in a relationship with every time he annoyed the shit out of me being like, oh god, is he gonna leave because I told him I didn't like that?
absolutely.
So, and then that's fun for the kids as they're having their own emotions and everything else to see, but for us to be able to come back and be like, we're good, you know.
Yeah. Which is the same, like, I feel like with the little guy, like, I'm constantly like, after we've had it out, like, okay, well, like, let's talk about what happened here, like,
Yeah.
mommy's sorry for getting upset, but, like, we have to do the same thing every night or whatever it may be, right? Like,
Nothing's
just kind of, yeah, just kind of like talking to them and making sure that even if there's an upset, a tantrum, whatever, they still feel safe, still feel loved, all the things, right? So,
so important. And it's always that night window when they have to go to sleep that they will open up about everything in their day. That's when they want to talk about everything. Like when I want the tea, I have to wait till nighttime, till they're in bed, and I'm
yeah,
like, oh god, I'm so tired. But that's when I go in and I
let's
say
tell me
like,
about your day.
yeah, is there anything that you want to talk about that happened today? And then
Mm,
that's when we get all the good juicy gossip.
yeah.
Okay.
Don't
Should
ask at
we,
the dinner table. They're not going to tell you.
oh, even after school, they don't know what the hell they just did 5 minutes ago.
Hey, neither do I. Walked into this room and I'm like, what am I here for?
What? Yeah.
Can't remember.
All right. Do we want
Anyways,
to get
okay,
into some rapid fire?
absolutely. I'm
Okay.
ready.
All right. Correcting in the moment or addressing it later.
Um, that's tough. I feel like different situations are different. If something's like, dangerous, we're gonna correct it right now.
Yeah.
And then if, we're out somewhere and something happened, maybe we can talk about it
Yeah.
later, why
Yeah.
that's not appropriate. So I think that one's a tough one.
And also with different ages is like with the younger one, I feel like I have to get to it sooner. Whereas the older one, I can be like, once we get in the car, I can have that conversation and be like,
Right.
hey, whenever we were talking about da da da, like this is why I was explaining it the way that I was. Also,
Yeah.
when kids ask for play dates in front of the parent and the other kid, that's a big like alert for me. And I don't know if it's something from when I was a kid, but yesterday my daughter was like asking in front of the mom and the friend, and they're chill and they're fine. And I always am just like, well, we can plan it. We can discuss it later and plan it. And then we get home, I'm like looking at the youngest and I go, hey, when we're in front of a crowd of people, that's not when we ask for things like this. And my middle child is already like, oh, because she knows. She's done this many
Yeah.
times. She's
Yeah. My mom used to say that to me all the time. Do not
yes.
ask in
Yeah.
front of the other person. She used to get so mad.
Yeah, we're getting better at saying no or like, hey, not right now, but I don't want to offend the other person by being like, no.
Right.
So I
Like,
just say, we'll talk about it later because we love the other people. We don't want them to think that we don't, but also, come on.
I don't know.
Explaining the rule or holding the boundary without debate.
I feel like I probably would explain the rule
Mhm.
more. I feel like that's what
Unless
kids
it's,
are now with a
yeah,
toddler.
yeah.
You have
Unless
to
it's a
say
safety
things on your
thing,
head.
then
Yeah.
you're just like, there's no
Yeah.
debate right now. You can always explain things later on as well. Like if you're like, this is why I did that. Yeah. Picking your battles or being consistent every time.
Oh, I'm in my picking my battles.
Okay.
You want to get dressed by yourself? No problem. I'm going to go do my makeup because you're going to take forever.
Yeah. Yeah. Again, I think it's like, yeah, specifics or whatever because yeah.
Right.
I don't know. I feel like we're pretty consistent. I'm not every time, but I feel like when I'm not being consistent, then Corey pipes up and he's in his consistent mode and I'm like, hey, shut up. uh, calm voice or firm voice.
I'm a firm voice.
Yeah.
Yeah. Dave is the calm.
Yeah. It's got
I
to
am
have
the
a
let's go.
balance. Yeah.
Yeah.
Letting them feel disappointment or trying to fix it.
I feel like letting them feel disappointed is a good stepping stone,
Yeah.
to understanding that you don't always get what you want. Do the soundtrack.
Yeah. And also we can't fix everything for them. And if you do that, then they're 40-year-olds living at home and not married because they can't keep a wife. And just
Yep.
saying. Uh, okay. Talking through or giving space first.
I think we talk it through usually. Yeah.
Yeah. Again,
Giving
with the
space, I
ages.
feel- yeah, like it's tough right now with a 3-year-old. We missed one, but I really like this one.
Yeah.
Structure and routine, or flexibility and grace?
I think these are all very like specific to one thing or another,
Yeah.
but we are terrible for structure and routine. You know that.
Yeah, I
We're
feel
not-
like that's
we don't.
that's me. I'm more on that side of structure and routine because I feel like he does better
Yeah, of
when we
course.
stick to that. Like I find the weekends sometimes I'm like, oh my God, man. Just, like this is what we're doing because it's just out of routine for him. I find even if like one day we woke up kind of late and I was just like, oh well, like it was a snowstorm outside. I'm like, let's let the plows go. And when we got to preschool, it was like a meltdown. We had already had kind of like a rough morning, and I'm like, we went off routine. That's what happened. That's what was different today, and it was a disaster.
Yeah,
So
I definitely believe that routine is best for sure.
yeah,
It's not something that we don't do intentionally. It's just something that I don't think that I have that structure based mind. So
right.
it's hard for me. And Corey's more structure, I think, but I have flexibility in my body and I just can't change that for me right now.
So, if your child acts out more with you than anyone else, it doesn't mean you're doing something wrong. It often means you're the person they trust the most. Understanding the why behind behavior gives us more options than reacting out of frustration or guilt. Parenting isn't about eliminating big emotions. It's about helping children learn how to move through them with guidance, limits, and support. Thank you for being here, for showing up for your kids, and for being willing to look beneath the behavior.
Well, that went by fast. Kind of like every quiet moment we try to have in real life.
Right? I swear I just sat down, and now it's already time to get back up again.
Story of our lives. But before we head back into the chaos, thank you so much for hanging out with us today.
We hope this episode made you laugh, think, or at least reminded you that you're not the only one trying to hold it all together.
Because none of us really have it figured out. We're all just doing our best, one cup of coffee and one deep breath at a time.
If you enjoyed this episode, hit that follow or subscribe button so you never miss when we finally get to sit down again.
And share it with a friend who could use a little reminder that it's okay to take a break, because she deserves it too.
You can find us over on Instagram and TikTok at ijustsatdown.podcast. We love hearing from you, your stories, your wins, and even your "you won't believe what happened to me today" moments.
Next week, we're diving into the Big Feelings Toolkit.
It's going to be a good one, so get comfy because by the time you finally sit down, we'll be right here with you.